unfortunately, the dubious honor of being the city's highest level corridor for traffic deaths and serious injuries. But we're not just going to sit with that. We're doing something about it, and that's what we're here to proudly announce to you guys. I'm Mike Carroll. I'm the Managing Director for the Office of Transportation and Infrastructure, and I'm also the Acting Managing Director under our mayor. Today is a day that we are taking a step, like I say, towards our shared goal of making our city safer with the installation of speed cameras on Broad Street. We know that automated speed cameras work, and there are many people here today who have testimony that they could share which attests to that fact. I want to acknowledge the work that went into being here today, the work that went into similar improvements throughout the city. A lot of people are familiar with what we were able to accomplish on Roosevelt Boulevard. And to begin with, I just have to affirm that none of that would have been possible without the diligent work before she was mayor of our mayor, Sherelle L. Parker, and her staff and team. For this specific victory, we also want to call out the tremendous efforts of the Legislative Affairs team under Mayor Parker. Of course, we rely extensively on the work of the Philadelphia Parking Authority, so I want to thank Rich Laser and Corinne O'Connor for their tremendous work. And City Council has an important role working with us to make sure that we're getting the benefits of this program in the places where we need it. So I want to call out Councilmember Squilla and Young, and also Council President Johnson for his support for this program. Certainly within the mayor's administration, a lot of people work hard on all the issues related to traffic safety. I want to call out the Department of Streets, represented by Commissioner Del Rossi today, as well as the Philadelphia Police Department, represented by Commissioner Bethel. We rely on our state partners, so we are also grateful for PennDOT's work coordinating this effort, not just here in the city of Philadelphia, but across the whole Commonwealth. So as I've said, and as many of you know, Mayor Parker has been a champion for automated enforcement for many years. We can look back to the beginnings of this program in the Commonwealth with the automated red light enforcement program. This goes back to when she was a state rep in Harrisburg, and we thank her for her representing the interests of the city of Philadelphia wherever she is. When she came to City Council, we were happy to see her continue that work by leading the charge for the speed camera pilot program that I mentioned on Roosevelt Boulevard. And now as mayor, she's overseeing the expansion of that program throughout the city into many more corridors that need the help, including Broad Street. This aligns with the mayor's overarching goal to make the city safer, cleaner, and greener. And we are always working hard under her leadership to achieve that goal. So we thank her for this vision for the city of Philadelphia and for her commitment to move Vision Zero forward and to manifest it into real programs and real projects that people can see, touch, and feel. Because she knows, and she has taught us, that it's only tangible action that the residents can see at work in their city that makes a difference in turning the needle on issues like traffic safety. So with that, Mayor Parker, I will turn the podium off and thank you and thank you very much for your support.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me start by saying good afternoon to each of you. And Chris Gale, I was leaning over to Rich Laser of the Parking Authority just now, and I said that our Managing Director, Mike Carroll, was just trying to remind Philadelphia about how old the mayor is. That's why he talked about those Harrisburg days. But Mike Carroll, you made me think about two people in particular who are no longer elected to the Pennsylvania General Assembly, but they were leaders in this effort, and none of this would be possible without them. And I'm speaking of former state representative, you may remember these two, Mike McGeehan and John Taylor. Give the two of them a round of applause, please. This is a milestone that we're marking today. continuing to collaborate on preventing car crashes, injuries, and deaths from happening on our streets. I know Mike Carl just said it, but it's worth repeating which city entities, I'm referencing Vision Zero and Otis and the police departments, have all worked together in a very collaborative way on this project. But more partners have been instrumental in pushing the Broad Street Automated Speed Camera Initiative forward. And I thank you, Mike Carl, for referencing our members of the City Council of Philadelphia, because without the partnership of our City Council President, Kenyatta Johnson, and of course, Council Member Squilla, Council Member Young, I know he is on his way. None of this would be able to occur. But that is the Philadelphia Parking Authority. Rich Laser, we thank you for your partnership. PennDOT, and of course, advocacy organizations. Families for Safe Streets, Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia. And Mike Carl, when you take me back on the stroll through my journey, my 10 years in the Pennsylvania General Assembly, I can't talk about that time and my awareness about the importance of what we're doing here today without thinking about LaTanya Bird. She was my teacher when I was in Harrisburg because of her lived life experience and the tragic knowledge of intimately knowing what it's like to lose someone you love to traffic violence. She shared that with us. She was a co-founder of the Greater Philadelphia chapter of the Families for Safe Streets, and LaTanya sadly passed away in June. So when I was a council member, when I left Harrisburg and was a council member working on the automated speed cameras on Roosevelt Boulevard, Councilmember Squilla, you will remember that came through multiple districts. LaTanya was instrumental in doing what she always did. She was educating members of council, our staffs, all of our teams, and she helped to make those speed cameras along Roosevelt Boulevard a reality. She turned her own personal tragedy into action. She turned her pain into power. And I don't ever want us to forget that her legacy now lives on in the important advocacy work that continues, and we will make sure that it moves progressively in our city. Now let's talk about Broad Street. We know Broad Street is clearly one of the city's busiest roads, and as Mike Carl mentioned, it's also referenced as one of the most dangerous roads. And unfortunately, the data has shown that it's gotten worse. Over the last 5 years, 64 people have died in crashes on Broad Street. I'm told that's more than one life per month. That data is totally unacceptable to me, and I know it is unacceptable to you as well. And so, Councilmember Young, we want these cameras to be part of the reason that Broad Street becomes safer. And we believe that automated cameras that actually measure a driver's speed and record if they're going too fast, and record if they're going too fast, and then recklessly overall driving, that we will help to reduce the number of accidents on the road. Well, we don't just believe this, we know it because of the safety improvements on Roosevelt Boulevard. Now, this is important because someone somewhere, somehow in our city is going to say this speed enforcement technology, it won't help Broad Street become more safe. I want you to be able to refer back to the facts about what we experienced on Roosevelt Boulevard. Prior to 2020, Roosevelt Boulevard was the most dangerous road in the city. Since speed cameras were installed, listen, speeding violations dropped 95%. You hear that, Chris Gale? 95%. And I didn't wear my bicycle pin today. Listen, pedestrian crashes are down 50% on the boulevard. And we have experts from the University of Pennsylvania who've conducted research about traffic-related deaths, and they estimate that one life is saved every month on the boulevard because of those cameras. So if you hear anybody after we made this announcement today, because I guarantee you someone somewhere somehow is going to say that it won't matter, that it won't make a difference, I just want you to be able to very calmly and succinctly give them the facts. What the public needs to know is that the Broad Street cameras will be activated next Monday on September the 15th. Let me hear you all say September the 15th. Violations are a warning for a 60-day period. After that, actual tickets are issued. So, for the first 60 days, you will only get a warning. After that, actual tickets will be issued. The speed limit everywhere on Broad Street is 25 miles per hour. Let me hear you say 25 miles per hour. Except around parts of the stadium where it's 35 miles per hour. Just so you note that. So the next quarter that will have automated speed cameras is Route 13, which includes sections of Baltimore Avenue, University Avenue, and 33rd Street and Frankfurt Avenue. The cameras will then go up in 5 school zones, and we're going to have more on that later. But I'm also proud to note that on tomorrow, I'll be sending a bill to the City Council of Philadelphia that will expand automated speed cameras to 3 more quarters. 3 more quarters. Yes, we know that they work. They are a tool to help us achieve safety. So I look forward to continuing to work with Council President Johnson and Chairman Young, Member Squilla, and all members of council to help to move this legislation forward. So Philadelphia, to me, as your mayor, this is a great day for our city. It's another step to move us closer to the goal to making Philadelphia the safest, cleanest, greenest big city in the nation with access to economic opportunity for all. And we're going to use every tool in the toolbox to do it. And these cameras are just one of those tools. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor Parker. I just got to say, you speak for all of us in celebrating the work of LaTanya Bird. This work takes a lot of organization, a lot of institutional work to get it done, but it really relies on that personal dedication. And that was an amazing human being who not only found the power and determination to take action coming out of tragedy, but she actually found joy in making a difference. And that's something you don't find a lot, but that inspires us. It inspires us on the institutional side to do our part. And one of our main institutional partners who really on the ground makes this happen is the Philadelphia Parking Authority. So it's a real pleasure for me to introduce Executive Director Rich Laser to speak on behalf of the PPA.
Thank you, Mike. First, I want to thank Mayor Parker. Today is about teamwork and a clear demonstration of various government agencies collaborating to improve public safety to save lives. It's also about expanding a life-saving program that we know works. And I want to repeat this stat because the mayor already had said it, but reduce speed along the most dangerous road in the city by 95%. I want to applaud Mayor Parker and her team for their support and vision and for working together with us on this life-saving program. I also want to thank all the advocates on City Council that help us get this through. And I want to also give a shout out to State Representative Ed Nielsen, who helped shepherd this expansion through the State House. Too many lives have been lost and too many families have suffered and been destroyed by speeding. We know speed cameras are instrumental in reducing speed on the boulevard. Now we know we'll have the similar results on North and South Broad Street. The PPA is committed to continuing working with the mayor in reducing speed along Broad and other major arteries within the city. I want to thank the advocacy groups, Bicycle Coalition of Greater Philadelphia, Families for Safer Streets, and all their efforts that they helped to get this over the finish line in Harrisburg and in the city. I also want to thank two very special people that we've worked with very closely in this whole process, and that's Reverend Stephanie Evans and the late Miss Latanya Bird, who we miss every day. Both of whom lost loved ones, and those kind of dedicated work that they both put into this to get this done to save other families and the loss that other people will not have because of their work is extraordinary. They helped us get the message out and make sure that people understand that this really is about data and about saving lives. We must all continue to work together, and again, about collaboration, and I want to thank the mayor and her team, Mike and your team, and everybody that make this possible. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Executive Director Laser. So, like I said before, partnerships are key to what we do, and we're very grateful for our partners in City Council who help us craft the work that gets us on the street. I've had an opportunity to work with the next speaker through my whole career with the city, which isn't that long, but, you know, I've seen some things, and it, you know, having people you can depend on, not always to agree with you, not always just to rubber stamp what you're doing, but to have thoughtful conversations with you to get where you need to go is priceless. And so I just want to share my personal appreciation, but also on behalf of all the work that Otis and the Streets Department does, a warm thanks and a welcome to Councilmember Mark Squilla.
Thank you, Michael. And yes, we don't always agree on everything, but I think the goal is to get things done, right? And I want to thank our mayor. Thank you so much for your support on this. I know automated enforcement is key, and you know, even infrastructure work. As you see, and we talk about what we do to make our streets safer, infrastructure is a big part of that. But none of this works without enforcement, right? We have to have enforcement. We have rules and laws for a reason. If we have enforcement of those rules and laws, people then will follow. This automated enforcement model that the mayor is so much in favor of not only makes our streets slower, which in turn makes them safer, right? But also takes away some of the angst of our police department, right? It takes away some of the angst of possibly profiling, right? All those things that go into how do you do enforcement fairly and making sure that we follow the laws properly is a key to how we make our city work and how we make it safer. So this legislation, partnering with the Parking Authority, Otis, the Streets Department, the Mayor's Office, the police department, and everybody else, we see a benefit in this. And the benefit is that we know that it will slow traffic down through the facts and the data that you heard when the mayor said it. And slower streets are safer streets. We know how many pedestrian deaths and injuries we've had on the Broad Street corridor. This will help with our infrastructure changes, right, with our painting of crosswalks and with our enforcement measures to make our city a safer place. So I am happy with my colleague, Councilmember Young, to be able to introduce this legislation through the administration and to work with all of you to make sure we're continuing to move in the needle forward in safety, making sure we're reaching our mayor's agenda and making it a cleaner, safer city, and making sure that we as a city continue to look at all the avenues out there to make sure our city could become a better place to live. Thank you so much, and great work. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Squilla. So I can see I'm going to get in trouble if I keep talking about how old friends are getting things done and how long we've been working on this stuff. So we'll have a change of pace now. And in order to get this work done, we also need fresh ideas and fresh energy, new perspectives on doing things. And so our next speaker has certainly brought this to this work as well. And so we're very grateful that he has seen fit to work with us, particularly on North Broad Street, to figure out the best way of getting the safety improvements we need done without imposing on the communities that we're working with, but instead trying to lift them up and celebrate safety in these communities in a way which is impartial. It doesn't create a lot of interactions that we would be concerned about, and in the end of the day, everyone can be better off for it. So without any further comment, let's introduce and welcome Councilmember Young.
So good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
And I apologize for my tardiness. I was at an event at Broad in Allegheny and had to take Broad Street straight down, and the new 25 miles per hour kind of slows you down a little bit, right? So if you're running late, don't take Broad Street. So again, my name is Jeffrey Young. I'm the councilman for the 5th Council District. I have the honor of representing neighborhoods in North Philadelphia, parts of Fishtown, and here in Center City. And, you know, I just want to say that this work is really a partnership to make our city as safe as it can be. We understand that you know, the mayor and others went through the statistics around pedestrian deaths in the city of Philadelphia. But we, as drivers, have to understand that we have the upper hand when we have these vehicles, when we're driving throughout our city. And so we have to be more careful. We have to be more diligent, more vigilant on, you know, pedestrian safety and all users of the road here in the city of Philadelphia. And so just to point out, I do want the public to understand where these cameras are. I know there are maps all around. For the residents in the 5th Council District, please know that because our district is in the heart of the city, where the Broad Street, our main thoroughfare of the city, is located, we will have a good portion of these cameras starting from Lycoming and Honey Park, down to Westmoreland, Cumberland, Cecil Moore, Fairmount. So, and we understand that some of these communities that where these cameras are placed are some of the most challenged and impoverished communities in our city. So we don't want the residents to look at this as a tax on you, right? But we need you to understand that this is just a safety measure to implore that all residents in the city of Philadelphia can live and live freely. And so, you know, we want you to know that as the Chair of Streets and Services Committee, we will be taking a look at, you know, the data that comes out from the 60-day period to see where they are, you know, really you know, touching, what communities are being impacted by this, to make sure that all legislation is fair and equitable for all communities. And that's what the goal of this is. We make sure that legislation has a fair and equitable impact on every community that is involved. And so with that, I want to thank you all for the hard work that it does take. These can be some, you know, some issues that communities may not understand at first. But with all change, you know, comes some growing pains, and I think with these types of changes, this can continue to grow our city. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilman. Thank you.
Thank you so much, council member. So our next speaker, I mean, she's come up from seeing a lot of stuff on the ground, understanding how you get things done in the street, working literally in the street with her hands on getting projects done, to being a major thought partner in the work that we do around traffic safety. So she brings a lot of unique perspective, a lot of energy, and I'll just say a lot of heart to this work. And I really appreciate that. So it is my pleasure to introduce and welcome Streets Commissioner Kristen Del Rossi.
Thank you, Mike. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kristen Del Rossi, and I'm the Streets Commissioner for the City of Philadelphia. I want to recognize our Traffic Engineering Division for their hard work, dedication, and commitment to implementing this safety program. Thank you for helping make this program a reality. To highlight their great work, our staff engineered and planned the placement of the high-vis 25-mile-per-hour speed limit signs along the 13-mile stretch of Broad Street. Our sign shop fabricated 100 speed limit signs to federal standards, and our sign crews installed them. Finally, the traffic engineering construction staff worked closely with the PPA to determine the speed camera locations and provide inspection services during construction. This is teamwork and interagency collaboration at its finest. I'm proud of Street's contribution to this program and our shared commitment to the city's Vision Zero goal. We look forward to working with our partners here today on the next corridor and future projects to make traveling in Philadelphia safer for everyone. Thank you. And thank you, Mayor Parker.
Thank you, Commissioner Del Rossi. So when the mayor was running for office, she promised the residents of the city of Philadelphia that one of her priorities would be to make them safe. And when it comes to that, you got to ask, where do you start? Where do you start? And I have to commend her in thinking about her team and thinking about the leadership she was looking for, and starting with a police commissioner who takes that mission seriously, but also very thoughtfully is probably the best place to start. There are still many issues with respect to policing that could draw resources and attention and could be priority, competing for the attention that any commissioner could offer. And I just want to say thank you to Commissioner Bethel for making traffic safety a priority. So these tools that we're working on do not replace the Philadelphia police. They make them more powerful, they make them more able to respond to things, they multiply the impact that the police can have. They are still involved in this process. We appreciate that. There is always going to be a human element in this work. And I just want to say that, again, that I'm very grateful that our police commissioner appreciates that, and he's reached and extended his hand in partnership to all the rest of us involved in traffic safety. Thank you.
I thought he was going to say I'm one of the old guys been around with him, or, you know what I mean? You said what he did for you, Councilman Young? That's pretty good, yeah. Well, first, let me begin with the mayor. She always says this is about the work, you know, and it is about the work. And so oftentimes you sit in this space, and for a long time you felt like you're on an island. But the mayor has talked about this intergovernmental approach and working together and working collaboratively to get things done. But more importantly, you know, when we talk about traffic safety, recognize that this can't just be done by police department alone. Right? This requires what you just said, Mike, a force multiplier. But even, Councilman, when you talk about the neighborhood, you know, my family live up in North Philadelphia. Folks shouldn't die on Broad Street just because, you know, they live in a very congested community and people are flying through Broad Street. So I appreciate that. You know, but part of the work is I do want to thank everyone here for their support. I mean, but our enforcement is significant. Last year we made over 35,000 investigations last year, you know, vehicle investigations last year, and that's almost double what we did the year prior. You know, and even last year we recognized that we were having a problem on Broad Street, and we made almost 3,000 violations on Broad Street in a very short period of time. Anybody who comes up and down Broad Street understands the dynamics and how this is going to be very important. But what people oftentimes don't realize is I don't have radar in my cars. Right. Yeah, the only individuals who are in the state of Pennsylvania is the state police. And so, yes, we're able to try to stop people from being reckless, but not having radar is an issue for us. So having these cameras clearly becomes what you described, Mike, a force multiplier for us to be able to address those issues through that process. I don't care what anyone says. I was here when the Boulevard and the mayor laid out the facts of what it used to mean. We went from chopping trees down to enforcement and putting cops up there, and it just was not working. But if you come down the Boulevard today, even me and my driver, we like, yo, we're going to slow it down because I don't even want to get a ticket, right? And so we know the impact it's going to have, and recognizing that impact is going to have on Broad Street is going to be significant. And so I just want to say, just remind everyone, and I think it was laid out here, this is not about punishment. Right. It is not about punishment. You know, we have someone here who's going to be talking behind me, Ms. Evans, who it's the why, right? That's right. The why. Let's stay focused on the why, you know, but not about punishment. It's about changing behavior, changing conditions out here for everyone across this city. So I'm just grateful for the support of this team here and what we're about to embark on across this city to make sure this is a safe city. The next ordinance is going to be horn ordinances and everything else, but we'll get to work. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Commissioner Bethel. So we'll let this pass. So, to give you the full picture of what this involves, requires talking about the human impact, but also action. And we spoke several times about the tremendous legacy and the inspiration of the work of LaTanya Bird, and you need to know that that work continues. And so I am very grateful for our next speaker, who can talk to you about all of that stuff and can share her story and can share the way that she transforms tragedy into action so that we can continue to do projects like this to make all Philadelphians safer. So in closing, I would like to ask you to welcome Reverend Stephanie Evans so she can make some comments.
Well, good afternoon, everyone. In Psalms 133, it says, "How good and pleasant it is for brethren to gather together in unity. This is a day of unifying. This is a day of triumph. I came from tragedy to trauma, but today I triumph because of the new speed cameras that each of this organization and group came together individually and collectively and had synergy to pass these laws to get the speed cameras. My son, Robert Evans III, he passed away outside the 35th Police District on January the 25th, 2020. He only stepped out of his vehicle and he died instantly. Latanya Bird, the late Latanya Bird, who became a friend who I met 5 years ago, taught me to change my pain into power. Not to ball up into a knot, not to complain, not to just be bitter about it, but to do something about it. And so on today, I stand here as a mother who triumphed today with other families who lost loved ones to vehicular homicide. I always say vehicular homicide, that vehicle was a bullet, and when they put it in drive, they pulled the trigger. But I rejoice on today, and you might not understand it, but I understand it. I think Mayor Parker, who came along at the right time when my son passed away. I thank you, Councilman Young. I thank the Parking Authority. I met so many commissioners, but Bethel,
Yeah.
you're the man of the men. You're the commissioners of commissioners, and you should train other commissioners throughout the United States of America. I met Sergeant Mark Overweiss, who came to my assistance and said, listen, you need to meet with Latanya Bird because she's doing some great things. I wanted to do my own thing, but as God would have it, it's good to unify with other people and have synergy and have a cause that's in common. So now when you have these cameras, it's going to save a life. It didn't save my son. However, his death was not in vain because his death is part of this legislation getting passed. I've been to Harrisburg. I've been to Washington. I've been all over. This is the city of brotherly love. I don't care what they say, and sisterly affection. Okay? We are better together. As we continue to unify this, nothing can stop us from making this city what it's called to be the city of brotherly love in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. We're going to be something to be reckoned with, not only next year, but this year, because change has come from this mayor. And I'm not going to tell my age. I've been around a minute, too. But this mayor, she put her boots on the ground. She said what she meant, and she meant what she said. And she fought tirelessly behind the scenes. I pray for her every day because you don't know what she's up against as a female and a black woman in the city of Philadelphia just to make us safe. So I applaud each and every one of you that was a part of this to get these cameras, and I don't want to cry. I had the opportunity to eulogize Latanya Bird, my friend, who taught me everything. This is my first rodeo without her. I don't know what to do because we were buddies, we became friends, and she was an awesome woman of God, an awesome mother. So this is for Latanya also Bird. Her work was not in vain, and we're going to continue to make this love and peace in Philadelphia and to continue to be unified. Amen.
Amen.
Great job.
Thank you, Reverend Evans. We are in your debt, and we are very grateful for your energy. So that concludes our program today, and we can take some questions from the media. Yep. So it varies, and I could give you an average, but the average isn't the problem. It's the people who are driving the fastest who take lives. So we did some work, evaluated the situation. The fact is that most drivers drive a reasonable speed. And so based on that, we can justify a 25 mile per hour speed limit. And there's some give. We'll allow folks to go 10 miles per hour over before they get a ticket. But once you get into the high 30, the 40 mile per hour range, you're starting to cause risks for people. And you're stopping to think about the impact being in a heavy metal vehicle has on someone who's walking across the street, someone who's riding a bike. So it really only takes a few percentage of people who think that they can drive 60 miles per hour, run a couple lights, to create that tragedy that we're talking about. So it's really not about that average speed. It's about having accountability for people who are on the road. And this is how we achieve that with these automated cameras. Okay. Any other questions? Let me take this question on the end first, though. So I'll take the first question, and then if you mean enforcement in terms of in-person enforcement, then I'll ask Commissioner Bethel to speak about that. So there's a few factors that go into this. First of all, we're looking to find from the data where the highest incidence of fatalities and serious injuries are from crashes. We do want to know the frequency of overall crashes, but we're really focused on where people get hurt. So when we have that idea, we want to think about what caused those crashes, where it was speed involved, where it was something else, and we want to focus our attention on where speed was involved. We don't just want to cluster cameras in those few locations, though. We want to make sure we have a corridor-wide impact, so there's something that goes into spacing the cameras out so that we're covering the whole corridor. And so it may be a mile between cameras, it may be more or less, but that corridor affects what we're looking for. And so we have a good spread throughout the whole stretch of Broad Street from the Navy Yard up to Cheltenham Avenue, and you will find that the cameras are spaced more or less evenly along that distance. We're looking at other parts of the city. They'll be coming online. Similarly, we may not cover all of these routes, but we're going to try and make sure that we're spaced out so that it's not you get past one street and then you can hit the gas. Do you want to speak about in-person enforcement?
Yeah. So as I shared earlier, this is just an enhancement, not a reduction of our activity. We're going to still be going red lights, individuals going through red lights, reckless driving. We'll be also looking for displacement. Oftentimes, as Mike knows, they're going to move over to the side streets and try to use those as different corridors. So we're going to be very much engaged in the implementation process and still be going heavily in our enforcement strategies, both here along Broad Street and across the city.
You have a one?
Let me affirm for the record that I've spoken with Councilmember Ketsi Lazada, the sponsor of the legislation, and I want to wholeheartedly affirm that I support the intent of her legislation. We've been unapologetic about affirming under the Parker administration that we are going to war with the status quo in the city of Philadelphia, and that's what Councilmember Lazada, is working to do with that legislation. However, the city of Philadelphia's law department, our solicitor, along with some of our other technical agencies, had a few concerns about the legislation, and so it will become law without my signature, but it will become the law of the city of Philadelphia in the 7th Councilmatic District, and we are going to continue doing everything that we possibly can to make public health and safety and improve the quality of life in the city of Philadelphia, because the quality of life aspect of that legislation is the part that I am very much in tune with. But it will become law in the city. It just won't have my signature. Thank you all so very much for being here with us today. We appreciate it.
Great.
Heart, hustle, home. CBS News, Philadelphia. Uncovering the heart behind the headline. CBS News, Philadelphia.
When you need a voice,
when you need answers,
we got you.
We know this community by heart. CBS News, Philadelphia.
I'm Marcella.